Do you guys think planes or trains are hotter? Which one do you think is more attractive? I need you guys to think of one weird hear me out that you have. I think my weirdest hear me out was from when I was a kid. It was a character from Bob the Builder, but that was only when I was a kid and I liked them. Now, looking back, I haven't watched Bob the Builder in like 20 years, so hear me out. Italian food is overrated. No, that's not, no. A hear me out is that's not like a hot take. Although, what the fuck? Why do you think Italian food is overrated? It's fucking goated. Hello?
Hear me out. A common phrase nowadays within the academic community, but sadly one that is far too often misused. People using this phrase to describe conventionally attractive characters.
These were all not hear me outs. They were all very normal. So a hear me out. Yeah, so what is a hear me out? He's probably gonna explain it, but let me explain it first. A hear me out is a character that you find attractive, where most people would think they are not conventionally attractive, they are straight up weird, or they are not even humanoid enough to be liked. For example, if someone says, oh my god, I love Lightning McQueen from Cars is my hear me out. If they were to say that, you'd be like, that's a weird thing to have a crush on. You know what I mean? I'm not into cars, okay? That was just an example.
Characters like Cammy from Street Fighter, or characters like 2B from Nier.
I love that he's just drawing them on the board.
Or even characters like Scolio, Elastigirl from The Incredibles. Now, obviously, any sane person would find any of the aforementioned characters attractive. So, when people say, hear me out, what exactly am I supposed to be hearing? Let's find out in today's class.
Ligma University!
My name is Professor Lando, and welcome to another lecture here at Ligma University, home of the Catboys. Now, I asked my students to submit their best hear me out for me to evaluate and grade in today's class. But first, what exactly are the correct parameters for an acceptable hear me out? There are two main requirements for an acceptable hear me out. The first one being, the character must not be conventionally attractive. And ideally, the less conventional, the better. And the second requirement is that the character must have some sort of subversive or innate goonable quality.
Wait. Goonable quality?
And this might take the form in one of two ways. Either physical or
physical
emotional.
Goonable.
And if you're confused on what that...
so if they're like just emotionally hot, when they are like emotionally mature and have a great character, suddenly they become a hear me out.
Means maybe some examples will help elucidate
Thank you, please.
Now, let me show you some of my personal hear me outs that might serve as an example for what we're looking for. Heimlich, the caterpillar from Bug's Life.
No.
Now for the physical aspect, these soft and supple ridges that segment the caterpillar's body are undoubtedly going to be a pleasant physical sensation. Imagine the ribbed pleasure as you feel your way over it. Tuk, 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 tuk. Can't ignore the multiple hands and feet. But perhaps more importantly, I'm interested in the emotional intelligence of the caterpillar.
Okay.
I find it very attractive that he has goals and aspirations, of course, wanting to become a big, beautiful butterfly. My next example
There you go, guys.
Eve from WALL-E.
Okay.
I guess Pixar really knows how...
I can kind of see Eve from WALL-E. I can see how people would find that attractive.
to make them. Obviously not conventional due to the lack of humanoid proportions. Eve does, however,
is respectable,
convey a bit of femininity, perhaps some sensuality, with the shapes involved here. Very sleek, slender design.
She's a beautiful
That,
robot.
paired with her personality, bit of a tsundere. At first acting a bit cold towards WALL-E, but eventually showing much affection. So it's that playful nature combined with her sleek, slender appearance that make her a perfect hear me out. My last example.
Okay.
Samus from Metroid.
What?
Now I know what you're thinking. Professor, that is definitely a conventionally attractive character.
Yeah.
And you would be correct, but I'm not talking about her Zero Suit Samus form. No, I'm thinking of a different form. And you might be thinking, oh, I know what you're talking about. You must be thinking of Samus's armored suit. And I like that you're thinking out of the box, but the form I'm thinking of is not even this one, but rather Samus in her morph form.
The ball? What do you mean? It's just a ball. Oh God.
Rolls up into a little ball. Now you might be confused on this example right here, so allow me to give you a bit of a visual. Imagine Samus in her morph ball as this watermelon.
Okay.
And now imagine further picking up Samus in her morph ball form and ripping off some of that armor.
Okay.
And on the inside, Samus. I bet she's real sweaty from rolling around as a morph ball all day. So for Samus and you, this would be a sort of a BDSM,
this is cursed,
but instead of latex and rope, you have Samus rolled up into a ball. And that's what makes Samus in her morph ball form such a great hear me out, because...
You know what? That is a hear me out, but I did not want to hear him out on this one.
So for this assignment, students can either pass or fail. But if I find their submission especially good, that student will get a gold star.
Oh.
DGamer014's Hear Me Out is Melania from Elden Ring.
That is, I would say that's not a crazy hear me out, right?
And they note, I'm willing to be infected with scarlet rot. Although Melania, on the surface, is a conventionally attractive woman,
it's respectable,
she is afflicted with the scarlet rot, which, if you're unfamiliar, scarlet rot, described in the game, is one of the divine elements of the outer gods, whatever that means, and, quote, eats away at life like a vicious plague. So you would get some sort of incredibly debilitating, I assume painful, and most importantly, deadly disease by partaking with Melania.
Oh,
Melania
okay, so you would get scarlet rot from her.
Is also estimated to be around 8 foot tall, so Melania is a pass. King Soul's Hear Me Out is Tai Lung from Kung Fu Panda.
Okay, look, I can kind of see that one because he's just like, he's that type of villain guy that a lot of people like. And he's really athletic and he moves around like pretty nicely. I would say this one is a pass. It's respectable.
They note, he big and strong and aggressive and fluffy and mean. We could note a very strong build, very broad shoulders, an aggressive demeanor, combined with a typical bad boy attitude. I would have to say that Tai Lung from Kung Fu Panda is quite conventional in terms of taste and for the context of Hear Me Out. Perhaps the only thing not conventional
is the
about
furry
him is
appearance.
the fact that he is a furry character, an anthropomorphic animal. But by today's standards, I would find this particular type of furry, you would be hard-pressed to call it not conventional these days. Fail.
A fail? What? I would give it a pass, but not a strong pass. Just a normal pass. Because I do think it's still, like, definitely far from completely normal, right?
Tortellini's Hear Me Out is Louis from the Pikmin series.
Okay, what the fuck? What the fuck is that? What the hell? What the hell?
I think first off, I would like to point out that Louis is wearing protective gear, so you know he's going to be safe. But more importantly than that, I think we need to note that Louis and Olimar can command an army of Pikmin, a horde of tiny creatures that obey their any command. Louis can have all these Pikmin do whatever he wants.
Oh no!
Now when it comes to the physical sensations, just imagine a bunch of Pikmin commanded by Louis. He's in the corner, perhaps in the cuck chair in a way, blowing his whistle, and all the Pikmin. I'm gonna have to give this one
okay,
my first
I'm so glad he stopped explaining it. This one's getting a gold star, isn't it?
gold star.
Yeah!
Pastrami's Hear Me Out is Echo from Overwatch.
No, I mean she's a robot, but everything else about her is conventionally attractive. She's as attractive as it gets for a robot. In my opinion, that's not a hear me out. That's a fail.
And they note, ever since this character released back in 2020, I swear I have been more and more into robots. I was rewired and I will not go back.
Well, the good thing is that robots will soon become normal because, you know, fucking AI and shit. Soon they can for real have that waifu.
I would call this a borderline case, personally. I think that Echo, for the most part, has pretty humanoid proportions.
Dude.
Is pretty conventionally attractive in the sense that it kind of looks like a slender, curvy woman. But upon further inspection, there is an odd creepiness about her. The face, no hair, and being this sort of mannequin-esque look does kind of make her slightly unnerving, but still retaining a bit of that attractiveness. And in terms of the body, if you look here, particularly the leg and arm joints, I do appreciate that in some sort of robotic, gravitational, anti-gravitational sense, are detached from the pelvis and the torso. So this is a hard call for me. But overall, I think I would just barely pass.
What? The fucking furry failed his class, but the most generic woman-looking robot passes? The fuck? That's not a hear me out. She just looks like a woman if a woman was a robot. Nah, dude, nah.
Also, she's got some major DSLs on her. Dove's Hear Me Out submission is the stand Notorious B.I.G. from...
What? From GGBA?
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. What the fuck is that even? Is that a creature? I can't even tell what that is. That's definitely a past the class. Hi guys. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.
That it has infinite durability.
That's a stand.
So I assume the appeal would be the sort of squishy, soft texture being exposed underneath these armored parts. I assume something almost like a brain. And for those of you who are unfamiliar, the stand, Notorious B.I.G. from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, grows exponentially by absorbing energy and is, like the student stated, invincible. So in theory, the goonage could be exponential. As you goon, it will absorb the energy, becoming bigger, perhaps squishier, and long-lasting, most importantly. But I think you forget the activation requirement for this stand's power.
Okay, what is it?
In order for Notorious B.I.G. to activate its powers, its user must be deceased.
So you can't activate it and be alive. You can't enjoy it while you're alive. Well, you know what? I don't get this one anyways.
Now, I'm not sure by what manner you could make this occur, but here at Ligma University, I can't advocate violence or aggression against any persons, unless it's the person driving the truck flashing their high beams at me. Is there not a limit to how bright headlights can be? It's crazy.
So true.
So in consideration for a hear me out, I'm going to have to give this one a fail.
I mean, I would give it a pass because everything else about it is extremely unconventional, but I kind of get it. If you're dead, it's a bit hard to enjoy it. That's true.
Angie's Hear Me Out submission is an in-and-out double-double, animal style. And they note...
Whoa! Animal style from In-N-Out? Dude, I never thought food can be an option. Food's kind of hot. Not like that, but I get it. I feel like... No, I agree. I kind of agree.
Double the meat, double the fun. Well,
animal style is so good.
Let's find out. We do in fact have a double-double, but what are the contents? Let's take a peek in there. Seems like, yeah, we do have 2 patties, thus the double-double. You could see there.
Is there animal style?
We got the lettuce right there.
Okay, what is he doing to that fucking burger?
Let's find out. Let's take a bite. I actually haven't eaten all day. I don't usually when I film these.
What is he doing to the burger, dude?
Man. I the shit out of that burger. Pass.
Zach490's Hear Me Out submission is the Bucky's Beaver.
I love the Bucky's Beaver! He's so cute! Not in a sexually attractive way, though. But I love Bucky's!
Oh, Bucky is, I assume Bucky is the name of the beaver. Is simply that, a big beaver. I think that there are a lot of perks with this specific Hear Me Out.
I think that Bucky just has aura because he has this whole Buc-ee's empire. You go into Buc-ee's and all you see is merchandise of Buc-ee. Like, bro knows he's hot shit. He has onesies, children's outfits, adult outfits. He has plushies. He has umbrellas. He has literally every item that you can imagine has Buc-ee's merch. I just think he's a businessman. And I think some people find the aura of the businessman who knows that he's the shit. I think some people find that attractive.
With 54 locations in the United States, Buc-ee's is most likely a very accomplished and wealthy business beaver.
That's what I'm
Buc-ee
saying.
Locations offer fuel, ethanol-free fuel, as well as EV charging. Not to mention the countless food items and choices that they serve to the countless of customers on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Most importantly, the official Buc-ee's website claims that Buc-ee's has the cleanest restrooms in America.
And I can attest to that. The Buc-ee's that I went to had a clean fucking bathroom, and they had Arizona on tap. I grabbed a large cup, a liter cup, and filled it up with Arizona from the tap. It was the most beautiful moment of my life. I love Buc-ee's so much.
Well, maybe not after Buc-ee and I get our time in there. You're gonna have to close down for renovations because I'll tell you what, there's nothing I like more than a big, hairy beaver. I'm giving Buc-ee's a gold star.
What?
Big Viper's Hear Me Out submission is Princey the Spider Devil from Chainsaw Man, noting,
I mean, I wouldn't be into it. I feel like the upstairs section is what some people would like, but the downstairs section is kind of fucked up. I feel like that's still a hear me out to an extent past this one because the legs are very fucked up.
Hear Me Out, 8 times the fun.
Now, I think it's not a stretch to say that the non-conventional part about the Spider Devil, or Princey, I believe her name is, would be the 8 gigantic, grotesque spider legs that are razor sharp and could pierce through an entire person's body. She also has a zipper going down the middle of her face. Otherwise, the top half is pretty standard, pretty conventional of a woman. I mean, people do have a primal fear of spiders for a reason, but in evaluating this Hear Me Out, there's an important question to ask, and that has to do with the 8 legs, of course. Here we have 2 different models, 2 different versions of a bottom to top view of the Spider Devil. Now, my question is, when it comes to points of entry, we assume for each pair of legs, there's going to be 1. But since the Spider Devil has 8 legs, is there going to be a point of entry?
I did not think that far ahead. This guy clearly is a university professor because he thinks about this thing and evaluates it. Crazy.
For each pair of legs. Or is there only a single point of entry in the center of the legs, almost like a squid? And I know what you're thinking, students.
I would say
sure most
squid.
of you would prefer Model A. But might I say that perhaps it would get a little difficult and awkward to navigate between all the legs. And remember, they're razor sharp. They can pierce your body. But with 1, you can get right up to the center and be nuzzled in the grasp of all the spider legs.
I will say this is so cursed. It's so cursed.
Once, and perhaps a more satisfying experience. But if I'm being honest, either one works with me. I'm gonna give the Spider Devil a pass.
ArcVisual's Hear Me Out is experiment number 210 from Gravity Falls.
What?
Specifically season 2, episode 2.
This one is definitely a pass or even a gold star. That thing is everything but conventionally attractive, dude.
And notes that it functions like Ditto from Pokemon. It can literally turn into anyone just by licking their DNA.
Wait, that ruins it. It can turn into an attractive person. In that case, that's not like a hear me out.
So conceptually with this Hear Me Out, we have something like a Ditto who can transform into anyone or anything. But there's an important caveat here. With this creature, it can literally turn into anyone, but by licking their DNA. You have to consider that your options, I assume, unless you're some sort of detective or spy, are going to be quite limited. As an average person, you might have access to maybe your own DNA or your household, which I imagine would include Your mom.
Dude, okay. I couldn't get anyone's DNA that I want. Fucking test me.
And dad? Maybe brother? Sister? Or your dog? Not quite the breadth of options I would like with my Hear Me Out. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to give this one a fail.
What? Oh yeah.
805 Rats,
I was also
Hear Me
giving it a
Out,
fail.
is Gwen from Total Drama Island. I mean, that my friend is just...
That's not a Hear Me Out. I think that's just a normal character.
An incredibly attractive goth girl with short hair, perky melons, tight waist, and wide hips. I can't think of anything more conventionally attractive than that.
Literally.
I'm afraid I'm gonna have to fail you. Cat HQ1's Hear Me Out is Cessna 172. I believe that is an airplane.
Okay, see, that is something. Yeah, that's a Hear Me Out. I think the airplane, definitely.
And notes, my beloved.
Airplanes, yes. The Cessna 172 is, I assume, a name for a specific type of airplane. And similar to Eve from Wall-E, we have sleek, curvy
design,
shape, line expression. So I do understand that. But in terms of people gooning to airplanes, there is a whole other world out there. Not only do people find actual airplanes attractive, the interest has spawned multiple subgenres, like plane anthros, similar to a furry character.
Really?
People anthropomorphize planes in a very sensual nature to where they're like kind of like a thick animal-like plane thing. And speaking of furries, there is an even further subgenre of furry plane.
What? That's a real thing?
Anthros, where they're like the aforementioned plane anthro, but furry versions of them. So when it comes to the goonability of airplanes, it seems like I'm not one to deny. Pat.
Do you guys think planes or trains are hotter? Which one do you think is more attractive? I think planes are more attractive because they can get you across further distances. And I also think that trains, especially in Germany, the trains just have a very bad reputation for never being on time. And imagine you have a lover who's always late. That's so unsexy. That's like the least sexy thing. So I think planes are hotter. Imagine your plane that you fell in love with is the Boeing 737. The one that got grounded because it had multiple accidents. Dude, is that a heartbreak? You can never go to an airplane lounge to watch it take off again. Isn't that the worst feeling to never see your love fly again? You would need to deal with Thomas the train. God, you just made trains so unsexy for me. If I think of dating a train, but it is Thomas the tank engine, I want to be single. Like, what do you mean? If that's my dating option, I'll be single. I don't care.
Yes. That's all for class today, students. I
Oh,
hope you learned
that was
something
the end.
and will use the phrase "hear me out" more accurately in the future.
Thank you,
I'd
Professor.
like to thank my supporters on Patreon, and especially to the students who I'm about to call for
Okay, so I hope we learned to not just call anything a hear me out,